The Bruins are on their All-Star break with David Pastrnak, Jeremy Swayman, and their coach, Jim Montgomery, headed up to Toronto to play in the All-Star game, to take part in the All-Star experience. The rest of them, they're coming to Florida, they're going to Cancun, they're going to wherever, someplace warm. Right? Because hell, you're playing on ice, ice, it's cold. So they're playing someplace warm while Swayman, Montgomery, and Pasternak are all up in more cold, being in Toronto. But I want to talk about their first half. Okay, so the Bruins have are tied for the most points in the NHL with the Canucks. If you look at the rankings, the Bruins are ahead of the Canucks, even though they do have the same amount of points. But there was that stretch right around late November, early December, where the Bruins just couldn't get their act together. Going into Christmas, it was looking like the team we expected heading into the season, with the loss of Bergeron, with the loss of Krejci, Bertuzzi, Orlov, Hathaway, Hall, Foligno. That team, it looked like we lost all those players. But now they rebounded real hard, because ever since the Christmas break, the Bees are 12-2-3, which I love it. Now, I talked about this. If you follow me on Instagram, which, as you can see, right there, there it is, right below, at Boston Sports Summit. I went live. I talked about how they blew the game against the Hurricanes because they were down 2-0, stormed back, tied it up, and only for Lindholm to skate up instead of get back, which left the Hurricanes guy wide open, and then he fired it. And I don't know why it didn't, if Allmark was too late to react, or if he just didn't get down fast enough, whatever the case may have been, squeaked under his left shin pad. And those shin pads are big. Like, it got nicked, but it still had enough momentum to carry it through to the goal. So, and that was with 2.5 minutes remaining in the game. So, yeah, it was in my opinion, a very bad loss. A loss that the game should have at least gone to overtime. And if you lose in overtime, if you lose in a shootout, so be it. But that they should have gotten at least 1 point for that. Unfortunately, Lindholm was out of position, and sometimes these guys on the blue line do that. And I'm not trying to absolve them by saying that. I'm trying to let you know that the Bruins, that's how they lost to the Panthers, last in the first round of the playoffs last year. Had the best record in the NHL, and then they lost to the Panthers because their defense, okay, yeah, sure, Allmark was hurt. The defense, had some injuries. Lindholm was dealing with his foot. But again, it's all a mind game. If you know you're dealing with a foot, why are you overskating? Why aren't you staying as far back as you possibly can? That's where I have an issue with. Again, if Lindholm is dealing with a foot, right, and not now, but I'm going back to the playoffs. If he's dealing with a foot, the last thing I would expect for him to do is be all the way down deep in the offensive zone, because he's dealing with a foot issue, and then he has to turn and get all the way back. God forbid there's a breakaway. Well, nope, didn't happen. And that's one of the reasons, many reasons, why the Bruins lost to the Panthers last season. But I didn't like that game. I was worried after that game. But then they followed it up with a gutsy win against the Ottawa Senators. And Marchand scoring the overtime winner, surpassing Ray Bourque. I want to get to that in just a minute, because then the Bruins followed it up with a absolute shellacking of the Philadelphia Flyers on Saturday. Yep, absolute shellacking. 6-2 in Philly against a team at the time that held the number 2 spot in the Metro Division. Now they're third in the Metro, 5 points behind the Canes. So going into that game Saturday, Philly held the second spot in the Metro Division and now is down to third. They're a good team, and you just hammered them. Absolutely hammered them. And not for nothing, love to see it. Absolutely love to see it, because it's friggin' Philly. It's friggin' Philly. No one likes Philly. Hell, Philly fans threw snowballs at Santa Claus. And I will still bring that up. Yes, Philly fans, I will still bring that up, even though it happened in the late 70s, because it's Santa Claus. Why are you throwing snowballs at Santa Claus? There's no reports of him wearing a Giants jersey during the game. So, come on. Come on, Philly fans. Be better. But we know you're not. At least you love and have knowledge of your sports. I'll give you that. So great to see. You blow the game against the Carolina Hurricanes. You have a gutsy performance against Ottawa, and you blew that lead, but then you won in overtime. And then you annihilated the Flyers in the final game before your break, which I love it. You know what? I'll take that. Now, one of the things that does scare me is that this team, the Bruins, are very tight against the cap. They are very tight against the cap. And I don't know if they're going to have enough to go after and trade for a top piece like Elias Lindholm, like Noah Hanifin. Because while these guys are, top pieces and would be great gets, you have to make sure that you have enough cap room to do that. And some of the trade pieces that I keep seeing float around are Trent Frederick, who is making $2.3 million. Jake DeBrusk. Well, actually, I haven't seen Jake DeBrusk. His name should be mentioned, but he's at a cool $4 million. Who else was Matthew Poitras, who's on an entry-level contract, 19 years old. Guess how much he's making? $870,000 for the next 3 seasons. So even with trading those 3 guys straight up for a true number 1 center, for a thumper, a hard hitter who can also kill off the penalty defenseman, I don't think, you can't just trade your next 3 firsts because you don't have enough cap room. You have to sell off pieces. And yes, next season, 2025 NHL draft, you finally have a first-round pick, which would be great, except I know that Trader Don is going to try to make a move. And I hope he does. And I hope he finds the right move without having to give up a first or a second in 2026, because you don't have a second in 2025. And so that's the kind of worry that I'm concerned with. And when the trade deadline approaches, I will really have a solid in-depth piece on this, because I really want to hammer home, what is important for this team, who is out there to get, and if there are any pieces. The 2 guys that I think we should get rid of, you're going to think I'm crazy, but is DeBrusque and Allmark. I'll touch more on that when the trade deadline approaches in early March. So, but the big thing that I do want to talk about from the Bruins is the fact that the little ball of hate just surpassed Ray Bourque for leading goal scorers with 396. Brad Marchand now holds the solely holds fifth all time in Boston Bruins history behind Johnny Bucyk, Esposito, Patrice Bergeron, and Rick Middleton. He's only 6 away from tying Middleton and could easily, he could easily get third by the end of the year. I might be pushing it on that one, but he'll definitely pass Rick Middleton before this season is up. So I just want to say that it has been unbelievable. He really has. I mean, Brad Marchand is a guy that, honestly, I never thought he would have amounted to this. He would have amounted to this. The little ball of hate, the rat, amounted to being fifth all time on Bruins goal scorers. And hell, if he plays next season and still is putting up numbers without Bergeron by his side, he could easily be second behind Johnny Bucyk. Like, how unbelievable of a feat is that? This guy, Brad Marchand, who, again, even coming into this season, knowing that he was the team captain, we're all sitting here going like, really? Marchand? Captain? I mean, I get it. He's the longest tenured guy, but you're not giving it to McAvoy? Wouldn't McAvoy be the better choice from a personality standpoint, from a standpoint where he doesn't have history like Brad Marchand, Slewfoot's guys, get called the little ball of hate, has been voted the most punchable face in the NHL, has licked guys in playoffs, which that was absolutely hilarious. Him licking the faces of opponents, and everyone's calling him disgusting, this, that, and the other, which, again, it's wildly unclean. But you can tell when he licked their face, it got underneath their skin so bad. And they were just like, what the flying? Bleep this, bleep that. And I'll tell you, it worked. It absolutely worked. And then, of course, 2 games into it, they're like, okay, stop doing that. We're outlawing it. But if he doesn't mind, hell, it ain't my tongue. I sure as shit ain't doing that. But it ain't my tongue, so I don't care. And if it's getting under their skin, hey, all's fair in love and war, right? Well, not love, but you know what I mean. You know, all's fair when it comes to hockey, when it comes to playoff hockey, baby. But that guy was chosen to be the captain of one of the most historic franchises in the NHL. And not Charlie McAvoy, who is a very different personality from Brad Marchand. So even going into the season, I was thinking to myself, you know, like, really? Okay. I mean, can this man change his reputation? I don't believe he could, but we'll see. And not for nothing, without Bergeron, without Krejci, with the C on his chest, the dude has just been in a sight for sore eyes. I mean, I can't believe it. He's putting up numbers that you wouldn't think that he would have. You wouldn't think it. And so the fact that he's literally 4 games away from hitting 1,000 regular season games, which is astounding in and of itself. Congratulations, Brad, because I know you're going to do it. Even he himself has said, I never thought my career would come this far, and some of the things that have gone on would have happened. Absolutely. After this guy set the Bruins rookie playoff goal record in 2011 when the Bruins last won the cup, beating the Canucks. He scored 11 goals and set the Bruins playoff rookie record. I still didn't think that this kid would amass this much. This third round draft pick, 71st overall in the 2006 NHL draft, has done this. And all I can say to that is, Brad, thank you, man. Thank you. You know, you have been probably one of the most underrated players this generation is seen, because he was hiding behind Zdeno Chara. He was hiding behind Patrice Bergeron. He was hiding behind David Pastrnak, David Krejci, Milan Lucic, Nathan Horton, Tyler Seguin. And again, not to say that people didn't know his name. No, everyone knew his name. The little ball of hate. We all know it. But to take everything into perspective and to see him now wear that C, and to see him pass Ray Bourque, who is just amazing in and of itself, I think it's unbelievable. It's really an amazing feat that this guy has done all that he has in the NHL over his career. And I know some articles have talked about the possible Hall of Fame career. I would love it. I think that would be awesome. I think if you're going to bring in guys from this Bruins era, I think really the three guys are Chara, Bergeron, Marchand. Let's Pastrnak finish his career out. Krejci, I thought he was a great playoff performer. Again, a clutch playoff performer. Again, to all you nerds, yeah, you haven't gotten to hockey yet. But I don't think Krejci is a, hockey Hall of Famer, NHL Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think it's a hockey Hall of Fame. So he's unbelievable player. Don't get me wrong. I love David Krejci. I just don't think that he has what it takes to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So overall, though, congrats to Marchand, and it's something to be said. It's something that needs to be brought up, because I am very appreciative of Brad, what he's done for this team, and not for nothing, all the memories that he's given us, as Bruins fans. So it's been great.